When you get into a relationship, it's not all about you. Like a relationship, you do take each other into consideration. And that's why her behavior to me would be completely off-putting. There has to be consideration for the other person. And you can't act hyper independent and still have consideration for the other person.
If you're in the right relationship, the man will make it all about you as the woman. But it's different when when a woman tries to make it all about herself.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like
forcing it.
As a man, I want to make it all about you. Right. But if you tell me it's all about me,
right,
then it's not the same. I'm like, no, you don't have to go on a diatribe about how it's yours and how they're mean and how you're not giving to them. You just have to say, no, thank you.
Right.
Like you just have to not do, because you have that power. Right. And it's when you're trying to exert that power over people to show them that you have that power. That's when you come across as childish. That's when you come across as controlling. That's when you're overbearing. It's just funny. But a lot of it too is just, look, well, like you were saying, it's not even my way or the highway, because my way or the highway is fine. That's fine. Right. Like, because as a man, especially, I will say as a leader, a lot of times you do have to be my way or the highway, because that is actually setting a boundary. And, not to misinterpret this, but the reason why I'm saying it's not even my way or the highway is because a lot of women in these situations, what they're doing is they're saying, that's where it really is controlling, is because they're saying, no, it's going to be my way and you're going to suffer the consequences if not, right?
Right.
It's
or
fine.
I'm going to treat you different.
Exactly. It's fine to have a boundary and to say, which essentially could equate to my way or the highway, which is to say, look, I'm not going to be in a relationship with someone who does this kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. If you choose to do this thing, that you can choose to do it, but I'm just not, that's not for me. Like, is anything like that where you're setting a boundary, that's totally fine. But when your response is, I'm going to punish you if you don't do what I want, right? Then that is controlling. That's why also we did a whole episode talking about men being either dominant or controlling, and what the difference is between that. And we said it was whether you're secure or insecure. And it's the same thing here, is insecurity is what causes you to try and control a person, because you have consequences if they don't do what you want, right? Whereas if you're secure and you say what you want, right, and then you're prepared if they are not going to do that or they're not going to compromise, that you're willing to walk away because that's not what you want. Like that's a totally different and healthy approach to something, and you can have whatever kind of requirement that you want. You're a human being, so you can choose, even if you're like, I require people to address me as the King of England, right? It's like, it's pretty ridiculous, but that's you have the right to do that if you want to. You just don't have the right to harass people that choose not to do it, right? You can be like, okay, well, if you don't call me the King of England, then I just don't want to be talking to people who don't do that. It's ridiculous, it's crazy, but it's fine. It's well within your rights. But to say, if you don't call me the King of England, then I'm going to treat you horribly. And
yeah.
I don't know why the King of England, but I think you get my point, though.
Yeah. I mean, I think, too, what actually more women than just her on this season, and in general, women in general, struggle with is that when you get into a relationship, it's not all about you. Right. And it's not even all about the man when he is leading. It's like a relationship, you do take each other into consideration. And that's why her behavior, to me, would be completely off-putting. Because even if you're in a friendship with a woman like that, you don't feel like you're in a friendship. Because even friendship has compromise, right? Like, if you really care about people, there's compromise. And you want them in your life, and you want to coexist with them. You're not just like, okay, we're going to do whatever I want. Or the other person's like, okay, we're just going to do whatever I want. Like, you try to balance the scales. You try to even it out. You try to figure out the compromise, right? Yeah. And I think that a lot of women in this episode aren't doing that. Like, they're like, this is how I live and this is how it's going to be. And that is fine if you're single, but it's not fine in a relationship. Like, there has to be consideration for the other person, and you can't act hyper independent and still have consideration for the other person, no matter what you say. Right. Because if you did value that person high enough, then you would naturally act that way.
Yeah. And you have to you have to choose to be led if you want to have that dynamic in the relationship of having a healthy relationship as a woman. And so it's, instead of saying, oh, now I got this. instead of saying that, this is what it has to be, and I have to control this situation. And even if a man is not as competent, right? And you're like, okay, well, I'm more competent, so I have to take care of this or take over these situations. The correct response is not to do that. It's to say, well, I'm not going to be with a man that I don't trust. That's not, that I wouldn't
put
trust
my full faith in.
Exactly. If I have to critique him, then that's not the guy, right? As opposed to thinking that you're going to shape him by critiquing him in some way, or can get him to conform to your way of doing things. That's not.
Nobody responds that way. Yeah. Even if a man acted that way towards a woman, she's not going to respond that way. You know what I mean? Like, if he's critical of something that she's doing or she's wearing, like, that's not going to make her feel good.
Yeah. I think almost that some women, they think, I'm going to act like a man, right? Because equality and all this stuff. And they're like, so I'm going to tell it how it is. I'm going to say how it's got to be. I'm not going to pay attention to what other people want. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And if they don't like it, that's tough. And they think that's acting like a man, but that's not acting like a man. That's acting like a boy.
That's acting like a dictator.
Well, women are emulating boys instead of men. Right.
Well, there's a lot of boys instead of men out there today.
Because that's not it. And even what you said about, it's not all about you. If you're in the right relationship, the man will make it all about you as the woman. But it's different when when a woman tries to make it all about herself. You see what I'm saying? Like,
forcing it.
As a man, I want to make it all about you. Right. But if you tell me it's all about me, then it's not the same. I'm like, no.
Well, women feel the same way. They're like, if a man tells her what to do, she's going to be like defiant and be like, no. So it's like, if someone's like, it's all about me, anybody's natural instinct is going to be like, I don't really want to be around you.
Right.
Like, it's just like, honestly, no one's going to want to be around someone that's like, it's all about me. And that was definitely how she was coming across. And you're right. They're emulating this version in their head that they think is the right way to be.
Right.
And it's not wrong. This is what I think women are really getting messed up, right? Like, there's a difference between controlling all about me and having self-respect.
Yeah,
and they think that acting like, no, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to get, is having self-respect. And in some ways, that is, but they're doing it the wrong way. They're doing it the, like, abrasive, aggressive, wrong way.
Yeah.
Like, how the guy, Tim, I think is his name, how he reacted was the right way.
Right, exactly.
It's like kind. It's like, I have these standards.
Yeah.
I'm not going to accept less than these standards. And if these standards aren't there, I will walk away. I'll have a boundary. I don't have to treat you poorly.
Exactly.
I don't have to yell at you. I don't have to do any of these things, but I will walk away. And I think women don't understand the difference between having self-respect and pushing it too far and being like abrasive and controlling and all about them.
Exactly. It's like if you're like, you have ice cream cones, right? Okay, because you have to have one of my analogies, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, I want your ice cream cone too. Like, I want both ice cream cones, right? And it's like the response is, no, this one's mine, but you can eat yours if you want. Like, no, thanks for asking, but I'm not going to give it to you. But,
I would say I want your ice cream cones, not even asking. That's demanding.
That's what but the response, you see what I'm saying, is just like if you were dealing with a child, because the person's acting like a child who is being greedy or selfish or making it all about them, and you're not responding in a harsh way, right? Which again, like you're saying, that's what he was doing it correct, because he was not getting flustered by it. He was just treating her like she was a child, that he was just blowing it off, not addressing that thing, not making a big deal of it. Just what I'm saying is that you can just calmly, if someone demands your ice cream cone, maybe this is a better way to put it, you don't have to go on a diatribe about how it's yours and how they're mean and how you're not giving it to them. You just have to say, no, thank you.
Right.
Like you just have to not do, because you have that power, right? And it's when you're trying to exert that power over people to show them that you have that power, that's when you come across as childish. That's when you come across as controlling. That's when you're overbearing, and where, you know, because as a woman, yes, I understand that women a lot of times want to show that they have some degree of independence, that they're not just going to be, you know, mistreated or whatnot. Like you said, having self-respect. But the way that you show that you have self-respect is that you have a choice in everything, right? Unless someone's physically, you know, abusing you or has a gun against your head, or, you know, or is forcing you to do something, you have a choice. And so you don't have to pontificate about it. All you have to do is just, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Or, you know, you can make that choice, right? And so that's the thing about it. It's like you have the power. It's not a question of having the power. So displaying that overtly, that's where you get into trouble, or trying to then take that power over other people in order to show that you have your own sovereignty. It's just as simple to say, no. Well, you can use the word no.
I think that